I'm Luca Congedo and you are watching From GIS to Remote Sensing. This is a very basic tutorial where you will learn how to create a simple link cover classification. So first, after downloading the image, you can extract the archive in your destination. You can see that this image is a multi-band raster. It is a TIFF file. So open QGIS, and after the installation of the plugin, this is the plugin interface, in particular the SCP doc here, the working toolbar here with all these commands. We have also the SCP menu for access to all the functions. And here another toolbar with buttons to the main functions. You can drag and drop every toolbar and dock in the interface, so you can resize the dock as you wish. So now we can open the input image. Click this button here, select the image you have downloaded here, this sample image. You can see that the raster is listed here in input image. This is actually a Landsat image, but we pretend this is a generic multi-band raster. And if we click this button, we can access the band set. The band set is the list of all the bands in the input image, and we can see here that the bands are listed with the name of the file of the input image and the band number. Now in the RGB list you can select one color composite, a color composite like 321, which is natural color, or 432, which is false color, where the band 4 is the near infrared. You can see that vegetation is displayed in red. So now we need to create the training input. Click this button here. Set the name for the training input. This is actually a single file, an SCP file, and you can see that the path to the input, training input, is displayed here. Training input is where the training areas are saved. Training areas, or ROIs, are used for the classification. Now we are going to create the training areas, or ROIs, using these four land cover classes: water, built-up, vegetation, and bare soil, with these respective codes. So now we are going to create our first ROI. We can create a ROI for the class water. We can manually draw a ROI. Click this button and left click in the map for drawing the polygon, and right click for closing it. This is a temporary ROI that we must save in the training input. Now we go to the classification doc. Here there is this table, the ROI signature list, and in particular the ROI creation tab, where we set the information about this ROI, the macroclass ID and the macroclass information, the class ID and the class information. So we set here water, and lake, and we click save. So here this ROI has been saved in the training input. You can see that the class ID is automatically increased by 1. And here we have our first ROI for the class water. You can notice that the column type represents the type of ROI. In particular, the type B means that both the spectral signature and the ROI polygons are saved in the training input file. So now we are going to create a new ROI using the region growing algorithm with this button. Here we have the parameters dist, which means distance. This is the spectral distance, so we can change this in order to create larger or smaller ROIs. Click a pixel in the image. All the similar pixels nearby will be selected. And here we can see an example of this. This is an example of a raster with these raster values represented in a single band values. So if we click in the center pixel and we set a spectral distance equals to 0.1, we can see region growing will select only these pixels highlighted in orange. So here in the ROI creation we change the macro class ID, set 2, change the macro class information, we set built up. We just need to change also the class information because the class ID was automatically increased, and we set here buildings. Then we click save, and this second ROI is saved in the ROI signature list. You can notice again that the class ID has automatically been increased by 1. Now click this button to zoom to the entire input image, and we now are going to create another ROI for the class vegetation. So here with this color composite 432 we can see that vegetation is displayed in red. So here, using the region growing algorithm, you can click and create a ROI. We change the macro class information and the macro class ID. Then we change also the class information. And we save it to the ROI signature list. Now, again, we are going to create another ROI for the bare soil class. Click over a pixel. Here, bare soil is in green color. Again, we can click different pixels and see that the shape of the ROI is changing. When we think this is a good ROI, we can set the macro class ID. You can notice that when I type B, also you can notice that the macro class that we have previously defined is suggested. So we set the class information. And we click save. So we now have 4 ROIs. Now with these 4 ROIs we can create our first classification preview. But first we need to change the colors of classes, in this case. So we double click on the color, and in this window we select a color which represents our land cover classes. So again, we change the color for the class buildings, built up for the class crop, vegetation, and for the class uncultivated land, which is bare soil. So we have selected our colors for our classes, and now we can create a classification preview. which is a classification performed on a small area of the image. So this is very fast, but we can also assess the quality of our classification and the quality of the spectral signatures we have collected. So go to the classification algorithm tab. We can select the algorithm. In this case, select spectral angle mapping algorithm. Now we can change here the size of the preview. We can set 500, which means a preview of 500 pixels. So now we can zoom to the entire image. We can select an area where we want to display a preview, classification preview, and then click this button, and then click in any point of the image, and we can see that this preview has been calculated and displayed. We can click again in another pixel of the image, and another preview is calculated. Click this button to zoom to the preview. We can see here the results of the classification. We can use this radio button to show and hide the preview. We can also set the transparency of the classification preview here. Previews are temporary rasters that are deleted after QGIS is closed. So when we are satisfied with the classification preview and we think that the ROIs we have collected are sufficient to create a good classification, we can go to the classification output tab and click this button, Run. When we click this button, we need to choose the output name and the output destination of our classification and click Save. After the calculation, the classification is displayed. You can see here that our first classification is being performed using these 4 classes. You can see here the legend of the classification of our raster. So well done, we have just completed our first land cover classification. Of course, we can notice that there are classification errors, and in order to get better results we would need to collect several ROIs, several other spectral signatures for the identification of materials at the ground. In the next few weeks I'm going to upload several new tutorials about this new version 5 of the semi-automatic classification plugin, and please join the Facebook group or the Google Plus community, and thank you for watching.